Hello. Hello. Can I explain how to sew? I can explain how to hand sew. Uh, are you trying to learn? Oh, thank you. BK Gaming, it's crocheting. Uh, I've been doing it for about 10 years, so uh, it might look pretty normal, but it's a lot of fun. I really like it. Thoughts on the magnetic pole shift? Nothing there. Yeah, he just had to sew. Oh, so I actually have a small tutorial on my channel about sewing and the different stitches. So if you'd like to look on there, it's pretty easy to do. Uh, to go there and look at it. Um, but I will say there are a lot of really wonderful sewing uh, channels here on YouTube if you truly need to learn how to sew on the quick. It's very simple. Literally just need a thread and a needle and a little finger protector if you'd like, but you honestly don't need it. And just, be prepared to get stabbed maybe a couple of times and throw some cuss words around. But after you get like past the first 5 or 10 minutes, uh, sewing's pretty easy. And also, don't immediately think that you're going to do well. Be happy with your first couple crap, sewing jobs. That's what I had to do to get through it. And I mean, it saves you a lot of time and money. But yeah, I have a couple uh or I mean, I have a couple. I've got a couple of different ways to sew on that sewing video. It's very rudimentary and I think it's pretty quick. It's just how to sew on my channel. Like and subscribe now. Thanks, Ryan. That's very kind. How do you get to kneel through the threads so easily? Um, takes a lot of practice, to be honest. But it's just, I mean, this guy's got a lot of small holes in there, and the needle's just a little bit smaller. And you just watch it go through the hole, and after doing this for 10 years, I hope I can mostly I hope I'm able to get the needle through the hole as good as I have been. I won't lie to you though, I did make a mistake a couple rows back, and thankfully I was able to see it, but the mistake was already made. I wasn't going back to fix it. So you can't see it, but it does look a little janky in a spot where I had to where I had to fix my mistake. Let's see. Oh, incredibly so. I'm very happy uh to say that I'm able to, like, this is my first time making my own pattern. My sister, now she's a savant at this compared to me. She makes her own patterns for like Pokemon dolls and animals and all sorts of wonderful little critters and blankets. But it again took a very long time. Now, in a very short time, it's very easy to learn quick patterns, um, which for what I'm doing right now. Oh, Ryland, is that how you say it? Ah, sorry about that. All right. Ah, how old are you? Actually, don't tell me that. The internet is scary and you don't need your age out there. But I hope school is going good for you. Ah. And it is always a fun hobby to pick up on. Maybe I'll do a crocheting tutorial uh, the next time that I think about it. Oh goodness, how many have I done? Let's see. This year, I've just made a couple of things. I've made a hat and a blanket, and now I'm working on this hood. Last year, I made 3 blankets, 2 hats, and a couple scarves. I was going to do some mittens, but I decided against it. How many times have you poked yourself? Countless. Too many darn times to even think about. And honestly, after a while, you get used to it. Like, you know where the needle is going, so you don't poke yourself anymore, but it takes a while sometimes. And sometimes I still do it. It's one of the reasons why I like to wear uh finger protectors. And usually they're called thimbles, and you wear them on your middle finger on the sewing hand, and one on your index finger for your other hand. And the reason why you do that is because you'll usually get poked on your index finger the most. But I don't know. I mean, people are people. Sometimes they're bullies and sometimes they're great. So, when you're in a public setting like the internet, you just gotta think about what you're saying. And that's why, like, I personally have to remind myself to not say too many silly things on here. Oh, because I personally, I want everybody to stay safe on here and have as much fun as possible. Oh, have I sold anything? I have. I've sold a couple of things. Not this year. In the last couple of years, I really have just been enjoying making things for uh, for friends. But oh goodness, depending. Oh, how many? Let's see. In one year, I think I sold just offhandedly 10 things. Like 5 hats, 2 scarves, I think 3 blankets, and then a pair of socks. And that was just at a winter bazaar that I did up in Alaska when I lived there. And I mean, depending on what you make is what you sell it for. Like the hats, most of the time I hand spin them with wool, so I'll post them up for about $30 a piece. Um, yeah. Oh goodness. Again, uh, I'll answer that in just a second. For anything that's made with acrylic, like if you go to the store and buy the material, it's way less. It's like $10-15 a piece. But for the question of how do I do this, again, it's just practice. I remember being younger, and when I crocheted a lot more, I used to watch TV and never look at my project. That was like at an all-time high. And you would just like feel each crochet hole that you're doing, and the needle would go in it and you'd feel it pass your finger, grab the thread, and then just keep on going. It's a really great thing to do while you're watching TV. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is my first project that I've done for myself in years, which has been really fun. We're Oh goodness, I just got done making a hat out of muskox fur and silk, and that was for a little nephew, and that was brown and gray colored. And then I didn't have enough, of course, to finish it, because it's actually really hard getting muskox fur. And there's only a set amount that a lot of people can get, and it's incredibly expensive. I knew a person, thankfully, So I was able to get it on the cheap, but I only had enough to make half a hat, so I had to get some blue cotton from Michael's, and I finished it up and gave it to my nephew as a Christmas present, and that was wonderful. Let's see. I'm learning to crochet. I'm making Sanrio arm warmers. Oh, that's so cool. That helps. And finally got a good tutorial that helps. That's wonderful. If you want to drop that tutorial in here, you absolutely can. Resources for everybody to learn that kind of stuff is so good. But congratulations. I hope they look lovely. Oh, and I hope they keep you warm. One of my, this one that I'm making is a hood. And I mean, it's more decorative than anything, but it's just so much fun being able to do this kind of stuff. Let's see. Who else have I made things for? I made my son a hat, and his was made out of alpaca wool and camel wool. And I know, crazy thing to think that you can get camel wool, but it's actually wonderful. And it's very warm and it's very soft. And it's very easy to work with and spin. Uh, and he's had that for 3.5 years now. And let's see, what else? I just spun some sheep's wool, and that was, oh, I actually have this blanket here. And this is the orange wool that I was talking about. And then some blue wool. And this yellow and black wool right here. I've also hand spun this blue and white. And then this blue, purple, and white is all silk. And then this brown, these are all like the end pieces of the different silks and wools that I've been able to keep from projects. And I always recommend, like, don't give away or not give away whatever you want, but don't get rid of and throw away your threads if you don't know what to do with them. Just make them into a blanket, because you can make some of the most beautiful blankets out of odds and end pieces. And it's okay to mix and match material, because as long as they're the same like thread width, that's what truly matters. So you have all these beautiful colors and textures you get to play with now, but they're all still the same. That is a 3-year project, and that will probably be like a good 20-year project for me. And it's called a grow as you go blanket. And basically you make it for someone who's very special to you. For me, it's my son, and I'm making him that blanket to give to him for his birthday when he turns 18, so he can have a nice big blanket when he leaves the home for, wherever he decides to go. Oof. That's a heavy conversation. But it's also just one of those sweet things that you get to do when you have like a hobby like this. It's so much fun doing a hands-on hobby. And also, depending on, what you get into, it can be so helpful in the long run. Like some of my favorite socks were handmade and they've lasted me for like 7, 8 years. Oh, so it's a lot of fun. Oh, and I'm really hoping, as long as you take good care of it like this, because again, it is, this material specifically, it's not an acrylic. I was so excited when I found it, but this is a rayon blend. I call it bamboo silk because the difference between rayon and silk is one comes from an animal and the other one comes from a plant, but the feel, the texture of it altogether is the same. Like this specifically, this beautiful color here. This is silk that has been hand gathered, hand spun, hand dyed. And I spun it myself, but I got the roving specifically from a vendor in Alaska uh, at the Alaska Fair, and they were a local vendor that lived in Anchorage. And the gentleman who I got it from, funny enough, is is the cousin from my regular wool lady, and I didn't realize this until after I had purchased it from him. But I was so excited because at the state fair, of course, there are booths everywhere, and just wall to wall to wall, this guy has just all these different colors of roving, and some, of course, are wool and silk. It's also where I got some of my camel roving, and I pick it out and I'm like, man, this is beautiful. Oh my God. It's $20. For how much? 4 ounces? Jesus. Okay. And it was worth it. I won't lie. It was very worth it. It was called Northern Lights, an opalescent jewel for a reason. Like, I'm so excited with these colors. They're so much fun. And you also, you want to know the crazy part about this as I sit here and think about this yarn, I spun this as one of my first things that I ever spun 10 years ago. And but as I was saying, so I found that is at his stall 11 years ago, and then I spun it a year later. And literally a week later, I was talking to my main fiber lady, and I'm like, yeah, I saw this guy. He had an entire booth set up at the state fair, and he's from Anchorage, and she goes, oh, well, that's my cousin. He's a little bit weird, though. I'm like, weird how? And she's just like, oh, well, we run in the same circles, and we try to help each other as best we can. But he likes to be a little standoffish. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's he's allowed to be that way. And she's just like, well, I'm just letting you know. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. But then again, in Alaska, gossip is definitely a form of entertainment. So, and I think in that moment she was a little worried that I might take my business elsewhere because his stuff was very different, and I was gaggling a lot about it. But you know, when you have such a small amount of options at your disposal, there's no way that you're going to give up your spot. Like I want to say that there was 2 brick and mortar buildings that had wool, no, 3, in Alaska that I perused, and it was pretty cool. I was able to find all of the things that I needed when I was there, but Now that I'm in the lower 48, man, it's a different ball game. Like, it's crazy when you listen to people talk about like small farm town, country town people. And right now we're in a vicinity that would be considered uh, small-ish. And I'm just like, this isn't smallish. This is the size of Anchorage where I'm living at right now, and they consider this small. Holy smokes, that's intense. Okay, I feel crazy right now, but at the same time, I've always it definitely opened my eyes to realizing how much a village girl I am living in Alaska and then coming down here. But I'm pretty happy with, what I've been able to cultivate throughout my life. I learned a lot of hands-on skills living up there. Like I don't I don't know yet another person who sits outside with a fishing pole in their hand and crochets the day away with a rifle at their side because they know that there's a possibility of a bear coming up and snatching their fish. And that is a lot of fun. And it makes for great stories. So even though my life was pretty slow up there, it was definitely eventful. Oh, mercy. That's not bad. And it's a beautiful color to go with it. I'm loving that a lot. Hmm. Hmm. Mm, mhm, mm, mhm, 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 mhm. Otis, sir, no thank you. Mhm, 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 mhm. Mhm, 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 Well, dag nut. That's what I get for talking and doing a project. I got a nice little hole. Am I crazy? No, I didn't mess up. Okay, it just looks like it. Well, I took out those stitches for nothing. Better be safe than sorry, though. I don't need it. I'd rather fuss over something and be right than get it wrong. That is so fun. I'm really loving this little pattern. It reminds me very much of flowers, and I know it doesn't look that way on the screen, but it's 2 large petals, 2 small petals. And I did it similarly down here, and I feel like this one looks much better. But I'm doing it again. I think that it will look better as soon as there's more material on the top. And it's just worked out very well for the motif of these. And also, I really love the color tone. Oh, I was really worried that adding this different color would make the hood just look weird as heck, but I think it actually matched really well. Let's see how this is going. So there's a collar piece. Let me see. That goes on. And this hood is going to have very much a little bit of a, there we go, more of a feathered out hooded piece. So by the end of it, it's going to hang very much like this. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing an inner shell piece, so taking some like satin or velvet and lining on the inside of this hood and then sewing it together. I really do like the thought of doing that. And also, I still am on the fence of making this into, like, having this turn into a hood and then a cape piece, because that's just so much more material. But I also got this really beautiful, like, scarlet red to go with this as well. Because now that I've added a second color, instead of just making this, you know, all icy blue with this beautiful silk fringe, now that I have this lovely purple, like lavender icy purple, I'm excited to put more colors together. And I think that's either going to be really, really exciting or a really bad idea. And I don't know yet. It's gonna take doing it in order to see it, because I know for a fact that the colors look gorgeous together. I swatched them all in the store when I went there today, because I finally ran out of my blue yarn, had to go and get more, was on the fence for getting the different colors, looked at the colors again for the second time, because this is not the first time that I've had to go and get more skeins of yarn for this dang thing. It is a much bigger project than I had expected, which is why I'm like, if I decided to do a tail or a cape part for this and make it into like a full crocheted event of a uh, cloak, God, that'd be crazy. Um, One, it would be heavy as hell, but two, it would just, I would have to do a pastel beautiful piece. And I don't know if there's any other crocheters or, hobbyist like fabric people in here. But if you know, once you have a piece dead set in your mind, uh, for the most part, it gets done, but sometimes you like to add flair and it just keeps growing. And that's kind of what happened. It is growing. And I need to. First, I'm going to finish the hood. And I'm going to see how the hood looks. It's definitely going to be a tapered end. So it's going to look very like witchy-esque inspired, which is so exciting. Like I was going to do more of a traditional oval or lobed slouch hood that you see in like a traditional cloak, but I don't know, something about like a pointy ended cloak. I mean, it's just, I think it would look fabulous. Maybe I'm crazy, but I truly think that it would look fabulous with these colors. It's very fun and pastel-y, which is hilarious because the inspirational is not. The inspirational yarn for this is saturated color. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I like it so much, because the contrast of it, like the colors, similar color motif, it has the blues and the pinks and the purples and the greens all together, which are going very well with this. It's very similar in that setting, but it's still a lot and it's exciting. And I'm loving it. Oh, all right. I think I might be done for now. That was a lot of good work. I hope you enjoyed this. I really did. Have a good night, everybody.